So, what if a madman, in order to show up, the people he opposed proposed something even bigger than what they have on the table? And then, not only did the um people who got the bigger proposal pass it, but the people who were supposedly aligned with the person proposing something shut that person down. It was a madman anyway, but a madman proposing a good thing. Okay, so of course, what I am talking about, in case you haven't got the gist, is the stimulus package or stimulus 2.0. Stimulus 2.0 will be the second check released by the United States Congress and Senate, as it may be. Well, Senate and House, which collectively are Congress. So here goes the deal. The $600 passed the U.S. Congress, and even though the Senate's been playing some games, it seems highly likely they'll probably no, they did pass it. What am I saying? Because Trump signed it. So yeah, the House already passed that, and Trump settled and signed it. So here's the deal, though. Um, so now the Pelosi finally pulled together a revision after the fact and said, "Okay, we'll pass your increase." So Congress is on its way to pass an amendment that would increase the existing stimulus from 600 to 2,000. It's not that difficult to explain, but basically because of the delays of this being passed and then implemented, they can pass it 2 weeks or even 3 weeks between each other and it would still be effective, as if it was passed that way the first time if it goes through. So here's the deal. So now Congress has taken Trump's proposed increase of 2,000 and passed it through the House. I should mention that the people who unanimously voted for Trump's increase were House Democrats. The people who voted against Trump's $2,000 increase were House Republicans. This logic is not hard to see. Basically, for the whole time he was in there, Trump threw the Republican Party under the bus. And now, McConnell and the rest of them are sort of like, how dare you ask us for anything? So, yeah, they're really up on that and they don't like him at all. So, with that in mind, I think it's going to be an interesting, like, because honestly, I don't see how it'll play out, favor in some, like, favoritism towards him. So what I think is, if House Republicans vote against it, we're more than likely going to see House, um, Senate Republicans vote against it, which means it won't get the unanimous. It got 2/3 of Congress of House, 2/3 of House, but will it get 2/3 of Senate? I highly doubt it. So, regardless of what we were hoping for, what we'll probably see is a $600 stimulus passed, um, and not the 2,000. That's just the fact. Um, so yeah, it's basically going to be like that, and why not? It is like Congress. They love to play ping pong. So yeah, we that's where we are. Um, you know, so Now, of course, this doesn't mean I won't cross my fingers that somehow, like, a disgruntled Senate will call they'll see it as a bluff from Trump, and they'll call his bluff, um, but I'm not sure. But here's the interesting thing. So, if that wasn't enough, the, Democratic Socialists, well, Democratic, liberal, socialist. He's sort of and he's unapologetic pushing this angle. Has also said in the past he wants like a $2,000 stimulus. Of course, I'm talking about the very liberal minded Bernie Sanders. Um, so in addition to saying he wanted it, he has already said that if the Senate doesn't go ahead and pass it, he is going to filibuster like deliberations the on a few things going into the new year. So already, and this isn't going to be that difficult. Bernie Sanders is quite capable of filibustering with the best of them. So this would be an interesting move. Um, and it may put the screws to the Senate to actually say, you know what, we should pass it so we can move on our other items. Because in reality, it's not that much more than three times of what they're already sending out anyway, and as hard, I know it's extraordinarily difficult to believe, but the reality is 3 times as much or just a bit more than 3 times as much, in this case, is actually 3 times as much as a penny. What you're talking about, like, $2,000 in a whole year, that's not a lot. To find that up, that's 200 what? It really isn't that much. It's incredibly small. It's 200 and a slitter. Whatever that slitter is, whether it be 15 or 30 or 40, it really isn't that much per month. That is generally what most people on welfare get. And by welfare, I mean basic welfare, like welfare to work. So it's really is laughable at this point. But I'm not saying they should give us like a $30,000 stimulus check. I mean, I'm not gonna be ridiculous, but for them to like go and say, well, the difference is between, oh god, $50 and 250 is really preposterous at this point. 'Cause it really isn't that much of a difference overall. Of course, there's a difference, but I think it's more like 215 versus about 50 a month. So and I'm not even sure if it's that. I would You know what? Let me bring out a calculator. We'll do it right here. Yeah, it's like I figured. It was about 166 and change. I thought 215 would be too much. I thought even 200, but I'm like, it's the end of the day. I've already done a number of things, and I'm like, my mind doesn't want to think anymore. Otherwise, I'd be on my game. But yeah, so it's like literally shy of like 167, and $50 versus 167 is not an awful big amount. Um, it's like seriously like 167 a month is like I said, it's bona fide bottom of the barrel welfare that you get when you're living in a shelter homeless. So this is not like doing anyone any favors. Um, especially for people who had real loss during this pandemic. They're not gonna this isn't gonna make a huge difference. It really isn't. Um, so yeah, I like to see either on their own or under the filibuster powers of the great Bernie Sanders actually cave and pass this $2,000 stimulus increase. It would be kind of interesting, because it would be the first time we actually got something halfway decent out of the Trump admin, so far, and I'm not trying to, like, beat them down. They really have a horrible track record, um, as far as an administration, and anyone looking at the, clown show that ensued would be, like, really hard pressed to disagree. It really has been a three-ring circus. So, with that in mind, um, yeah, so I think the only thing people can do right now is decide on what you want. But if you really want the $2,000 stimulus, you need to write your like senator and let them know that yes, I want this 2000. This 2000 is mine and all mine. You will vote in approval, or I will show up at your Senate office with pitchforks. No, just kidding. But yeah, I mean, it is sort of like that. Um, and I have to be honest, this is something I said before, something a lot of people are not on these days is being like politically upfront or like personally upfront with the politicians. And I think this is what really kills a lot of these things because you really, if you want something done, you have to like go out and get it done. Um, so this should be fun. I get to see what this video goes like later. Aside from that, what I really like is the new M1 Max, the MacBook Pro, the MacBook Air, and the new Mini are all awesome on the price performance range, and I really wanna get my hands on one now, so I can go to town with it and really, really, really just, like, tear through that. No, seriously, and the MacBook Pro has a battery life, continuous battery life of 20 hours. That's practically a whole day without a charge. Like, literally. There are not many, notebooks, that are in that, and considering its price range is fairly reasonable for its class, that says a lot. So it's packing a lot of power, and it's packing the ability to manage that power better than other machines, and that's like, pretty awesome. Um, so yeah, I'm really stoked about that. It's for my current production studio, which was offline off over the weekend, which is why you didn't see me. The MacBook Air with its small thinky hard drive. I have a bone to pick with Mac about that. Seriously, it released this in 2015, I believe it was. And even then, the class of SSDs that were put with most machines, um, even crappy machines, had a like running point of 700 to 800 Mbps. And the crappy drive on here, which is only 256 gigabytes, which is their upper end on this model, had a top of like 530 megabytes per second, which sucks. Seriously, genuinely, legit sucks. I mean, how bad could you be? So I'm considering upping the drive to a decent one, which will give me like not only just like speed performance, which would be nice for this like i7 model, but it would also give me a huge space boost because only 256 gigabytes. It sounds like a lot, but with an operating system and a few serious apps like Microsoft Office, which you're using to work, and that space goes. So yeah, being bumped up to something like 500 or a terabyte would definitely go a long way, to say the least. Yeah, I think that's about it for now. I don't see anything else much. Um, well, like I said, hopefully within the new year, I'm going to consider moving to an M1 MacBook Pro. At least for my computing needs. I'll still keep this for other things like production. Um, but yeah, I'll that 20 hours straight on battery. Like seriously, when have you legit ever heard anything run for 20 hours straight? That's like almost never. And that was on a stress test. Like, yo, that legit is enough reason there. Um, cool. Oh, and supposedly the keyboard's a lot better. They moved away from the oh, I if you're not familiar, like, Mac moved away from what the keyboard most people use to something called, I believe it's a butterfly keyboard. It uses a bit of constructible difference, which supposedly improves its use from, like, regular stuff, but it also has had its problems and difficulties. Now they've, included, a better keyboard yet, which according to most reviews is better than their current, one on most pre-2020, so that should be cool. I look forward to it, and I look forward to seeing you all, in a new year. That could be kinda cool. Oh, what else? Alright, I guess I'll leave it like this and, have a good night and just tell you if you wanna see that, you'll probably see the 600, but if you wanna see that $2,000 stimulus check in your mailbox, write your senator, email them, make sure they know you want that and you want it now. Alright, everyone, have a good night. I hope you'll